Hello, and welcome to DEPENDAsplaining, where we talk a little true crime and some military topics. I am Jen.
And I'm Veronica. And thank you for being here for another episode.
Yay!
of DEPENDAsplaining, the podcast.
That could be our new intro music.
Podcast. Sounds like Sega. DEPENDAsplaining.
Podcast.
Listen, I don't have a career in jingles. That somebody else must have one. A better jingle than that.
Give us a little...
Email us at dependasplaining@gmail.com.
Yeah, with your jingle.
With your
jingle jangle.
Yeah. Jingle them right in front of us.
Yeah. You know what's right in front of me? An airplane. Right on top of my house, it sounds like.
Oh,
yeah, it's
always with the airplanes.
It's very noisy.
They've chilled here. I haven't heard any today, but I'm sure we will soon.
There's been a lot of activities lately. And here they are.
Yeah.
You'll hear them in the episode.
We saw one coming in the other day, and because like I told you, we live right on the flight path, and it was very windy outside, and Kyle was like looking at the window, and then he turned around, and he made this motion with his hand. He's like, it was doing this, and he was like rocking it side to side, and I was like, well, it's windy. He's like, that's scary as shit.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yes, it is.
That would be terrifying.
I was like, what flies? Yeah, I was like, one day I'm always like, one day it's gonna hit the building. I just know it.
I hope not.
I hope not. No,
that's terrifying.
Yeah, I know, because it's like we're right across the street from the base. I can see the aircraft from my front balcony, and the fire station too. I always tell the kids, I'm like, "There's Daddy." Can't see people, just see fire trucks.
Just start waving though. They could probably see you. You never know.
They probably could. Yeah. Jen, are you excited for today? For today's episode?
I am. I'm so excited because I can't wait to hear your story, because I need something in my life right now to distract me from everything else that's going on.
Yes, I feel the same way. I told you earlier before we started recording, my life is in shambles. It's really not. I'm just complaining about children and just how busy my husband's schedule is, and me trying to give him space. And I'm hungry all the time. My son was like, can we have a party on Saturday? And I was like, can it be a dip party, just dips? And he was like, yeah, like salsa and guacamole and ranch. And I was like, yes, I live for this. I'm not making dinner. I'm making
buffalo
dips.
Chicken dip.
All the dips.
I love dips. That's a great party.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be dinner. And his version of a party is like, let's just listen to music and maybe we'll play some video games.
Couldn't agree more. That sounds like an amazing party. Your son is a genius. A genius.
We have these every now and then. I'll turn off the lights and I'll put on disco lights and we dance around. They get on their hoverboards, put on some sort of weird costume, and we just jam out to Queen, which is their favorite.
So good.
Yeah, it's their favorite. And I could hear my daughter talking to Siri or Alexa all the time, and she'll be like, can you play Don't Stop Me Now by Queen?
Good for her. They
yes.
have good taste in music then.
It's a good song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, before I get started with my story, Jen, why don't you tell our listeners where they can reach us?
Yes, guys. If you want to send us your stories, your comments, questions, concerns, anything military related that you want to know more about, or you just want to talk, email us at DEPENDAsplaining@gmail.com, or find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Reach out, comment. We'll comment back. You know that. We'll talk to you.
Yes. 5 stars. Rate and subscribe.
Yes, please.
Yeah. On your favorite listening platforms.
Which is Apple Podcasts, according to our statistics, is the number one. It's like 90% of y'all, you use Apple Podcasts. So get out there and rate us.
It's taking over the world. Apple.
It is, yeah.
And COVID. And I'm over both.
I'm over both. Apple just wants to screw us over every time they come out with a new iPhone. Your old iPhone is
taking
insignificant.
my money.
And the battery dies quicker. Nothing wants to work. You have no more memory left. And you can't get rid of it. Even if you take all your apps off your phone, it doesn't matter. Somehow the memory's still taken up. Then you really do have to buy a new phone and you just want to cry.
Have you tried, I'm guessing this is you. You're talking about yourself and your phone. Have you tried deleting all your text messages?
Yeah, so this happened with my phone, previously, that I had, I don't know, from Wichita through England. I bought a new phone for my birthday last year, so, but before that, it was just, it would not, nothing I did changed. I would delete everything.
Yeah.
Emails, I deleted all the apps. Pictures I uploaded to whatever, Google Photos, so then I can delete all my pictures off of there. Nothing helped.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing worked. Just said something about system, and I said, what's on the system? There's nothing else.
Yeah.
What
the
more
system is broken.
do you want from me?
More money. Like,
yes.
Are you not rich enough already, Mr. Apple?
Yeah.
R.I.P. Steve Jobs.
Mr. Macintosh.
Macintosh.
For real. I'll show you. I'm just going to go ahead and buy the cheapest phone. I don't care about the new.
Watch me buy a flip phone.
Yeah. There is actually an Android, a Samsung that they make flip phones. Smartphone flip phones.
For the nostalgia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, bring me back the Razr. Motorola Razr. Actually, I had the Nokia, like, the little one that's like wider at the top and it got a little bit more narrow at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you could play Snake on it and everything sounded so digital, like just beeps and boops.
Yep.
Wasn't
And you had to press the number 3 times if you wanted the letter F, I think it was. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I think the alphabet started on 2s, maybe.
My God. Yeah. I was so good at texting, Jen, like that. I could do it from my pocket.
Yes.
So when I worked for Walmart in my younger years, I would have my phone in my pocket and I would be texting Kyle. Blindly.
Yep.
Just from the feeling of the numbers. And a lot of times it would not say the correct word, but we got the gist of it. And I was like, this is good. Like,
yes.
I'm just spelling out with my fingers blindly on these numbers.
That's how good.
Kids these days will never know.
I know. That's how good we got. We didn't even have to look to see how many times we had to press the number, which number we needed. We had it memorized.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have no idea.
Yeah.
And then they came out with the slide-out keyboards. And that was like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, guys.
Yeah. And then what was the other feature it had where it would like pop up words like you would, what was it called? Was it T9 or something?
Oh, yeah.
Where like,
or like text
you
predictive.
Would press the letter.
Or predictive text.
Yeah, text predictive. Yeah. Yeah. So that one, I was like, that one was pretty handy too.
Yes,
and
that one
was
helped
on
a
your phone.
lot.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
You guys will never know.
You don't know the struggles
You'll never
that we went through.
Yeah.
No regrets, though. I loved it.
Great memories. Yeah. Great memories. Okay, Jen. I have a story for you. You ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay. I have a story for you out of Fort Hood.
Oh.
Because murder water is very strong over there.
Yes.
However, this one's a little bit more mysterious. And so I have Fort Hood and the mysterious death of Devin Shuette. Staff Sergeant Devin Shuette.
Okay.
I got most of my information from militaryjusticeforall.com, goldstarmothersofnewmexico.org, and then a brief description in his obituary in the dignitymemorial.com, and some Facebook information too from a page that was started probably by his family. Had lovely things to share on there. So Devin Shuette was born on September 16th, 1980 in Guymon, Guymon, Oklahoma, to Timothy Lee and Karen Lynn Shuette. His mother, Karen, described Devin, as having been a rough and tumble kind of kid. He was fearless and he loved adventure. He loved hiking. He loved the outdoors from a child, and that he kept that as an adult. He still loved doing that kind of stuff. So from what I could gather, he, like I said, was born in Oklahoma, but his home of record was Clovis, New Mexico. So he grew up there, I guess. His service with the United States Army began on April 27th, 1999. So probably just after he graduated high school. Maybe took like a little year in between. So Devin started his Army career in 99. And then in 2000, he completed airborne infantry training with the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Bragg. For those of us that don't know the airborne forces, what it is, airborne forces are like ground combat units carried by aircraft, and then they're airdropped into battle zones, typically by parachuting. Obviously, they just don't get dropped off like that. So Devin completed 3 tours in Iraq, and as we know, this was the early years of the Iraqi war, and unfortunately, Army soldiers were pretty much the ones on the front line. But during these times, Devin made an impression amongst his peers. He was described as loyal, hardworking, and a morale booster during these hard times. So they really looked up to him. He was always one to lend a hand and was just a really hard worker. He was very accomplished in his career field, but in 2007, he decided that the airborne infantry was just too hard on his body, and so he began training for intelligence analyst. They provide the Army with like crucial, reliable information about enemy forces and like potential areas of conflict, and then they gather that data and send it out to just create like a plan from that. So Devin had married Tanny Lynn Everidge in 2004 in Clovis, New Mexico. They had known each other for many years. He was actually best friends with her older brother, so they had known each other for several years. And so they got married, and he was a devoted husband, and they were both excited to start life as a married couple, and together they were raising 3 young children. It sounded from what I gathered that they were her children from a previous relationship, but nonetheless he was still their father, and that's how they saw him. So the family moved to Fort Hood in 2013 after having spent a few years at Fort Huachuca in Arizona, and they did live on post on Fort Hood. Because I've said this many times, that place is gigantic. It's like an entire country in the country of Texas.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to go anywhere with how big the base is. They have everything they need there.
They really do.
It's insane.
They really, really do.
Yeah.
You need a traveling in Fort Hood. You can travel Fort Hood. So in January of 2016, New Year's Day, actually, Tanny wakes up after hearing Devin having some sort of like argument with their oldest daughter. I believe he was like asking her to go to like a friend's house, but she refused. And then I'm not sure on the details on that. I think he just wanted a quiet day. Maybe he had some stress going on. We'll get into that. So the 2 younger children were already at their friend's house. So then Devin asked the oldest daughter, like after he had blown off some steam, he's like, "Oh, come help me build a doghouse." And she's like, "Okay." So they both get to work, and sometime during the building, they must have ran out of wood because Devin gets in his truck and leaves, presumably to gather more pallets to construct the doggy house. So after a while, the family starts to worry because Devin should have been home by now. It had been hours since he had been gone, but he's not home yet. So Tanny's phone was actually broken, her cell phone. So she went to the neighbor's house and she's like, "Hey, can I use your phone? I need to call Devin." Kind of worried about him. They're like, "Sure, here you go." So she calls Devin. He answers the phone and he says he's just driving around Copperas Cove.
Yeah.
Which is only about 15 minutes away from their home. And then the line went dead all of a sudden.
So she did get a hold of him, though. Even though he'd been gone for a while by that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And so she must have had like a gut feeling that something was wrong. And so she jumped in her car to go look for him. And she returned home shortly after because she had actually taken the neighbor's phone with her, and the neighbor was requesting if she could return it, please. But she did manage to call the military police before she returned the phone or returned back home.
Good.
So the police then show up, and she tells them that this is not normal behavior for Devin. He always makes himself available for her and would never end a call as abruptly as that one ended. It was actually one of his pet peeves, being hung up on or him accidentally hanging up on somebody. I guess he probably, if it ever happened, he would correct it soon after. So the Fort Hood military police told her she has to wait 24 hours before she can make an official missing persons report. I have so many issues with this law or whatever, that they have to wait 24 hours to be like, if this person is telling you that my significant other or my child or my neighbor or whoever is missing and it's not the norm for them, they should get searching right away.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, especially if it's not normal not normal behavior for them to be gone, and they know they don't leave like this, or they should know. I mean, who knows better than your own family member? So I don't know why you wouldn't take that seriously. Yeah. I mean, they take it seriously, but the law just is, it's frustrating.
It is. But, Tanny was like, nope. So she quickly got on social media and she was asking like the local community in the area and his coworkers as well for help. They're like, look for Devin. He's been gone for, a while and I'm worried about him. So then Devin's mother also drove to Fort Hood to help locate her son. And then Tanny drove to a campsite where they kept their camper, and she was hoping she would find him there, maybe like just relaxing, just with his thoughts, if he was having a rough time.
Right.
So, but she came up empty. There was no sign of him or him having been there at all. So after the 24 hours were up, she is able to file a missing person report with the Fort Hood military police. The police found the phone. They pinged it or whatever, and had last been active within a 15-mile radius of Belton Lake Outdoor Recreation Area, which is pretty close to Fort Hood, from what I understand. So a search team is now assembled, and grids are handed out to the volunteers in order to look for him. So he was found January 3rd, 2016. So 2 days later, or a day after the 24 hours. He is in his pickup. He is deceased, and he's at Belton Lake Outdoor Recreation Area, close to a paintball area. There was a hose leading from the exhaust pipe to the back window. There was also a propane tank with the valve completely open in the front floorboard of the truck. So it was ruled a suicide because of the circumstances from what they saw. But He was found by two of the volunteers. They were the ones that found him. One of the men actually knew Tanny from church, and he decided to call her and inform her that her husband had been found. Now, Tanny drives to the location where she is met by military police and Devin's commander, and she asks to see her husband, but of course they're not allowing her. According to Tanny, they detained her and questioned her. And her mom and her sister, who were also helping with the search. And they asked if they had seen anything. Did they see him with the truck? Did they touch the crime scene? Just if they had come in contact with him prior to them finding him. So Tanny felt like the investigators were treating them like criminals. And then an ambulance shows up with the lights on. And so I think this maybe gives Tanny hope, because she still doesn't know that he's deceased.
Right.
So she thinks that maybe he's alive and he's hurt. So the siren, the ambulance has the sirens on, and then the coroner and the CID are called in after Tanny has already left, because she left to comfort her children and just, I guess, to hear back. And her children, unfortunately, had already found out about it through social media before anybody would have a chance to tell them, which is the worst thing ever. It's awful.
You should never be allowed to post anything on social media about a death like that until it's the family's informed. I mean, it's like protocol. I thought that's what's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Was it the media maybe? I don't know.
I think it was it got out from the same volunteers that were helping, and they heard, and then it got back out, and so it was posted all over social media.
That's annoying.
Yeah. So the next day, a casualty assistance officer, or CAO, came to her home as did the Army CID investigators. I think that chaplain was there too, and they informed her that her husband was in fact deceased. So CID questioned her, and she gave them the same story she gave the military police the night before. You know, like he was out building the doggy house, he ran out of wood, he left possibly to get propane for our grill because we were going to grill. That's what she said. So So a couple days later, CID called Tanny into their office to read Devin's suicide note. So she goes in there to read it. And Tanny questioned the note in the presence of military personnel and observed that it did not look like Devin's handwriting to her. She said the lettering on the note was enlarged, but Devin didn't write in that way. Like it didn't match. To her, it wasn't his. So
yeah,
she's got a lot of doubts. And so 8 months later, Tanny receives the Army CID investigation package and finds a different suicide letter that was on different paper. So I guess this one had been on like green military issued notebook paper, and it did not contain the handwriting, or it did contain handwriting that now was very similar to Devin. But like the first one, it wasn't like the very first one she read. So it was a different handwriting on different paper. The investigation report revealed even more inconsistencies and things that didn't add up. For example, the investigation package said there were beer cans located in Devin's truck, but the Army did not include the beer cans when they returned Devin's truck to Tanny. I mean, they could have held evidence. That's how Tanny felt, but who knows? The investigation package did not include the autopsy report. She doesn't know if there was an autopsy report at all. So they could have done like a toxicology report to see if he had been drinking or if he had drugs in his system. Because Devin had been taking medication at the time of his disappearance. He was prescribed Effexor, an antidepressant. He had been actually diagnosed with PTSD in December of 2015, so just a couple weeks before he went missing. And he had been taking this medication, Effexor, like I said, an antidepressant, gabapentin, which is used in treating seizures in adults and also nerve pain, and hydrocodone for the pain from a spinal infusion surgery. So that could have been with the second medication that I mentioned that's used also for seizures, but he probably used it for nerve pain. So Tanny observed another discrepancy when she read in the investigation package that Devin's medication levels were appropriate given the dosage, but Devin had actually missed a couple of days before he died. So that couldn't have been accurate. They were saying that he did have the correct medication dosage in his system, which means he probably did have a toxicology report.
Yeah.
But she said that he had actually missed a few days prior. So Tanny believes that Devin died on Sunday, January 3rd, on the day that they found him. So 2 days after he went missing. And one of the volunteers claims that they actually tested Devin for a pulse. So they must have touched like his neck or his hands. And they noticed that he was still warm to the touch. Now, I'm not sure if there was him being warm, like his body, or because the truck was still running and the heat was on full blast.
Okay.
We'll come back to that. So that meant to Tanny that rigor mortis had not set in because it takes like 12 hours or something like that for it to set in.
Yeah, he would have been had he died on the first.
Right. If he had died on that day that he left, rigor mortis would already have set in.
Yeah.
And so it takes like 48 to 72 hours after rigor mortis sets in for the body to relax. So that was still not enough time to go through all of that. There was no official time of death ever determined. So it's weird, right?
Yeah.
Here's another weird encounter. During the search, initially, Tanny passed Liberty Hill on a road that goes to the paintball course, which is near where they found him at the Bolt Lake. What did I call it? What was it called? Bolt Lake Outdoor Recreation. So they were driving, and then they noticed that there was a car that was pulled over, and they noticed a man with a flashlight walking down the road. So now Tanny was actually going to this area because she was supposed to meet up not only for the search, but she was going to meet up with a reporter as well that wanted to cover the story of her missing husband. So she was a local reporter, wanted to talk about it. And meanwhile, while Tanny's talking to the reporter, the sister and the mother decided to approach the man that they had seen on the road. They went over there and talked to the man. So then they returned to Tanny and reported the man was very drunk, and he said he was looking for a friend's truck. The pair also observed blood on his clothing and blood spatter on his face. They informed Tanny while she was still talking to the reporter, so she stopped the interview and she called 911. Then they wanted to go after him, the man, but they were scared to confront him. So Tanny and her family observed him walking back towards a truck with a flatbed trailer on it. Now, eventually, the game warden and military police show up. Tanny and her family shared their observations about the drunk man they had seen and appeared to have blood on him. The police started looking in the area, and eventually a game warden did in fact find the man in question. The game warden told Tanny the man was actually a cattle rancher, and the blood on his face was from a cut above his eye that was caused by a tree branch. I guess Fort Hood uses land for training that's owned by cattle ranchers. So that's why the man had an excuse for being in that area. And Tanny felt like they missed an opportunity to investigate this man, and they just kind of let him go. And they said, well, he ran into a tree or whatever. They could have, at least taken some pictures as evidence or just taken him in for questioning. They're looking,
right.
They're looking for somebody, but I don't think at this point they had found Devin yet, so they didn't know. But even then, knowing once Devin was found, knowing that there was somebody out there with blood spatter, they could have found him again and questioned him. Anyways, so the coroner's report stated that Devin had died CO2 poisoning. In the truck, they found a blanket stuffed around the window to hold the pipe in balance because he had run that pipe from the pipeline. It was a hose. It was a hose from the camper, actually. What do you call it? A sewage hose from the camper. He had put it in the pipeline, ran it into the back window of the truck, and to keep the hose in place, he used a blanket, and that way he could cover the holes around the window.
Right.
The blanket used for that had a large amount of Devin's blood on it. Yeah. So, and actually Devin was found to have had 9 stab wounds across his body, including his forearms and the back of his left hand. What do those stab wounds to the hands and forearms tell you, Jen?
Defensive wounds. Defensive
wounds, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Even with all of this, CID investigated the scene as a suicide, and it was ruled just that, a suicide. He ran the hose from the tailpipe into the back window, where he secured it with a blanket to keep it in place. He also had a propane tank in the front of the floorboard that had the safety line cut so that the valve was all the way open and allowed gas to leak into the cab of the truck.
Yeah.
It points to suicide.
And also
the stab wounds. That's another thing they claimed. Yeah, they said that the stab wounds were self-inflicted. 9 stab wounds self-inflicted. How do you stab yourself 9 times?
So
I could see 1, 2.
So what I'm thinking is they're claiming that he had to have stabbed himself first because there was blood all over the blanket that covered the windows. Yes. So he's bleeding, but there's no blood on anything else except for the blanket while he's putting the hose where it needs to go and everything else. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
Why would you go out in such a painful way?
Yeah.
I feel like this might be getting too graphic, but I feel like he would have probably slit his wrist or his own throat before stabbing himself.
Yeah, you don't just stab
9
yourself.
times.
Yeah, you don't just stab yourself in hopes to do the job. That's not...
Super shade, right?
Yeah.
So the truck was returned to Tanny, and she went in there and she made some investigation and she made some observations of her own. She noticed that there was knife cuts on the door panel on the driver's side and on the left shoulder area of the passenger seat. Yeah. So it if he had like somebody in the passenger seat that attacked him, I could totally see that. Like maybe he was trying to move away from it and it
defensive
slashed
wounds.
Yeah, exactly. So, where was I? Okay, so Tanny believes that someone did this to her husband. She claims that the hose that was used from the tailpipe had been in Devin's truck already, and that was just a coincidence. And that because they had plans for a barbecue that night, Devin had most likely gone to pick up the propane tank that they kept in the camper because they were running low on the one at home. And when he did this at the same time that he was going to go get probably more pallets to build the doggy house. So it doesn't say if there was like any extra pallets in the truck when they found him.
Yeah.
And that would have supported Tanny's theory, but it didn't say anything. I couldn't find anything. So the crime scene description given by the volunteers, the CID investigative reporters, and the evidence she has personally witnessed do not add up either. So CID also fingerprinted the truck and found no fingerprints. No fingerprints of any kind. Not Devin's or the family. All of a sudden, everybody wiped their own fingerprints off.
Yeah.
So there was also a lot of discrepancies in the report ranging from where they found items, but pictures that they took would show otherwise. For example, the knife that is believed to have been used in the stabbing was supposedly found in Devin's hand, but pictures show it was on the passenger seat. Resting on the passenger seat. Same goes for his phone. It was supposedly found under the passenger seat, but pictures show it on the passengers, on top instead of under, like they claim. So his phone had also been wiped clean of any information that could have been useful in the days prior to his death. So, and like Army CID had no plans to get a warrant to obtain the cell phone records that could probably tell like a digital story. A history of his Google searches could have told a story if he really did commit suicide, right? Like he would have searched how to do it or just something leading up to that, or maybe like a conversation he may have had with somebody that could say something. Or why would he, if he was planning on committing suicide, why would he delete his history? I don't know. It was just kind of odd. So they also came across some hurdles when Tanny asked to see her husband's body, but was denied by CID. Even the funeral director questioned this and informed Tanny that the body of Devin was in good condition for an open casket service, and he didn't know why they were doing that because decomposition had not set in because they found him so soon. They learned that the request actually came from the Department of the Army in Washington, D.C. Tanny did eventually get to see his body with the help of the funeral director. It was very hush-hush.
Jeez.
But she did, and she says that Devin's body was wrapped up like a mummy. I'm not sure the significance of that, but to Tanny, I guess it stood out as a little strange.
Yeah.
I don't know how they go about preparing a body for a funeral service if they do wrap them up like that.
I mean, if he's not like decomposing and they're already prepping him, like I don't know why she wouldn't be able to see him.
Right.
See him. That's like, you cannot tell me that I can't see my deceased husband.
Exactly.
No, you can't do that.
Exactly. No, exactly. That's another thing, is that she did request to see him and they wouldn't let her. And she's like, but I don't think it matters in what condition they are. If the family member wants to see them, they might try to talk you out of it.
Yeah.
But I think they have a right to do it.
You can't order that. I feel like, why would you? You can't. I mean, because they have people come down to identify bodies, and then they've been in worse situations, all kinds of ways. So how can you order a now widowed wife to not see her husband? No, that doesn't sound right.
And then tell the funeral director that it's going to be closed casket. I think the family member needs to make that decision.
Right.
Anyways, Jen, super suspicious.
Yeah.
I know. So Tanny considered going to the media with her concerns, but she was afraid that the news agencies would create like a narrative based on the Army's version of events and not tell the whole story. She believes that Fort Hood sees soldiers suffering from mental health issues and that they're a liability to the Army and therefore serve no purpose to the organization. Instead of helping them, they mysteriously die. This comes in question not only with Devin, but with other families whose loved ones have been lost to suicide in a suspicious manner on Fort Hood. Too many questions and not enough answers. It is a known fact that when an item of importance goes missing in a shop in the military, no one is allowed to go home until that item is found.
Yes.
Right? We've heard of this before. We've seen some of our friends who work in areas like this, specifically with aircraft is what I've seen. If they lose a tool,
yes,
no one gets to go home until that tool is found.
No, Dave used to be in maintenance, so there were days he would come home super late because he's like, oh yeah, so-and-so lost whatever wrench, so we couldn't turn it in, and so we had to wait until it was found, and everybody had to search, and oh, so-and-so actually took this tool home with him when he left, and so now we had to get him to come back and return it before we could go home. And it's like, oh my God. Yeah.
Or it was in their pocket the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Fun
this
stuff
is the
for
thing.
them.
But yet, if a soldier goes missing or is reported missing, they have every intention of declaring them AWOL before anything else. Before saying this is not part of their behavior, they're AWOL. They just say they're AWOL, which if you don't know what AWOL means, it stands for absence without leave, which means they've deserted the military and just left. Private Gregory Scott Morales comes to mind as he was declared a deserter until his remains were found in a field during the search for Private First Class Vanessa Guillen in the summer of 2020.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He came to mind right away when I was reading this. So Tanny still lives with all of these doubts and so many questions. In Tanny's heart, she knows that Devin would not commit suicide. Devin had actually witnessed the devastation and attempted suicide had caused Tanny's family because one of her family members had attempted to commit suicide, and Devin was there for her and he held her hand through the entire event. So he knows what suicide can do to a family, and it was so fresh on everyone's mind that they don't think he could have done that to his family. But nonetheless, Devin gave 17 years to his country and the army. He served his family and country with honor and pride. His remains were laid to rest at Central Texas Veterans Cemetery in Killeen, Texas. He was 35. And that is the mysterious death of Staff Sergeant Devin L. Shuette.
Wow. That is super suspicious, and I do not like how that was handled at all.
I know.
Doesn't sound right at all. I don't like it. I don't like what they did. I don't like it. I don't like it, Veronica.
I don't like it either. I think that initially seeing the setup that he was in his truck with the evidence, okay, it's ruled a suicide. However, with the stab wounds, to me, 9 is excessive. Maybe 1 or 2. I think for the line of work that he did, he probably did see a lot, and he probably knew what it took to end somebody's life. So for him to have stabbed himself across the body that way was just very strange to me. Like I said, I think it would have been like a slash of the wrist or the throat, or just let the CO2 do its job. Not its job, but do what he intended for it to do, Yeah. Because that would be a lot less painful and more peaceful way to go. So I don't understand that. And then before they found him, that encounter they had with the man, and then after finding him, and especially with the stab wounds, knowing that there's a man out there that had blood on him, they should have questioned that guy more. Yeah.
Just because he says, oh, I got hit by a tree branch, doesn't mean a whole lot. It's just, he said he was looking for somebody, their friend, or a friend's truck or something, and it just, I don't know. None of it adds up really well. Yeah, the stab wounds? No, that doesn't. What person will stab themselves 9 times? Stabbing takes a lot of effort. Yeah. It's not just an easy little thing, and I don't really know this for sure because I've never stabbed anyone or anything, but I just think of it has to go through a lot, and that's not an easy thing. That's why they say when somebody gets stabbed when they get murdered, it's like a crime of passion, it's personal. People do it.
It's personal.
Yeah, they do it in a way.
Yeah. And I feel like if you were being assaulted, like a random person assaulting somebody on the street with a knife, don't think it would have been excess of 9 stabs, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
It doesn't sound...
To me, like
it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, to me, I was like, they should have gone back to the rancher. Because what if Devin, was meeting up with him for whatever reason with that rancher, and they got into, a scuffle? Maybe he knocked out Devin after, he stabbed him and then knocked him out in order to set up the scene like it was a suicide. And then he wiped his phone clean because maybe he had his contact number on there.
Right. Maybe he knew him in some way. Or maybe he saw him and was giving him a ride because the guy was walking. Or
maybe those were his beer cans that they said they were on the floorboard.
Yeah.
And that's why he was so drunk.
Yeah, and the guy on the phone, obviously, it was wiped clean. So obviously somebody had to have taken it. And they wiped the phone off and they set it back down on the passenger seat. So
yeah,
because he didn't use it, he didn't call anyone, he didn't call his wife back. I don't like it. I don't like that they can just say, "Oh yeah, this is what it is," and we're not going to investigate anymore because we're done. We found it. It's done.
Yeah. So it's like Fort Hood is shady.
It is
shady over there.
It must have murder water buried into the ground.
Probably.
Because there's a lot of shady shit that has happened.
A lot. I mean, just in the last year.
Yeah.
There was 4 people that turned up dead.
Yeah.
In the span of just a few months.
And that's not normal. I know Fort Hood is gigantic and people can get lost, but that's just not normal. It's not normal.
I think that's what it is, that people get lost, not just in the enormity of the base, but I think in paperwork too, when somebody shows up and asks for help, are they provided with help or just medicated with help?
Yeah.
Instead of being provided. It's last time, a couple episodes ago where I talked, it's like they send these guys into battle, they prepare them for battle, but nobody prepares them for the things that they're going to see and have to do. Which is the scariest part. How do you prepare for that? How are you going to handle that? It's like they showed you how to jump out of an airplane, how to, kill the quote-unquote enemy, but then what? And then you're on your own. Oh, we'll give you some sleeping medication.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Solve it on your own.
And, if PTSD, if that medication works, which I know we've talked about before, where, medication's a little, iffy with, is it causing more harm than it actually is helping? But if it's something that does somewhat work, but also they need more to it too. It's a mental thing as well. They need they need extensive therapy depending on what they went through.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like, I know I've said it a million times, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like it either, Jen.
That is crazy. That is just not what I expected, but also not surprised with, the stories that we've been hearing the last year or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this was just in 2016, so just 5 years ago.
Not that long ago at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I read a lot of the Facebook posts, and it was very much treated as a suicide, even by his loved ones. Was still being seen as a suicide, that he lost a fight with himself. But Tanny is the one that has all the doubts. I would be the same way.
I know. I mean, I don't blame her with all the things that she's been shown. The fact that there's 2 suicide notes that she's aware of, I feel like it's kind of weird, especially when they're 2 different papers, 2 different types of handwriting, and that doesn't seem... Maybe, what if, I'm just gonna go off the ball here, and what if it was the guy that killed him wrote the first note, but then he's like, oh, what if they don't believe that it's yours? I need you to write this one. I need you to write it down now in your handwriting. Force him to write it. I don't know.
I went off another theory with that one. I went off another one. I think that when they showed her the letter, this is just going with the theory that maybe, yes, he did commit suicide. Then when they showed her the letter, it was a photocopy, an enlarged photocopy of the letter. And that's why it was on different paper and it looked like different writing, perhaps because it was enlarged. And so when they finally presented her with the other one, that she said it looked like his handwriting, and then it would have been on different paper. So that's my only theory, fitting with maybe he did commit suicide. But I still can't explain the stab wounds. Like, I can't.
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. I mean, you never know what somebody is capable of doing to themselves. Especially if they're really going through. But it didn't sound like he really was going through like super hard down times. Just for the fact that he was still. I mean, sure, he got in an argument with the older daughter, but then they decided to build the doghouse. So it didn't sound like he was like so out of it type of thing.
And he had only just been diagnosed a few weeks prior.
Right.
So I feel like it was too soon for him to just have given up instead of being like, let me see what the medication does and maybe like some sort of mental health program. But I mean, only he knows. And I don't know. The defensive wounds, the blood on the towel. I don't know. It's all really, really strange.
Mm-hmm. I need answers. I need a psychic medium to take me out to this area and tell me what they see, what they hear, what they feel. I need to know.
I know, right?
Someone tell me.
Yeah. I want to do one of those past life regression things. I've seen they have meditations on YouTube to do that. Yeah, have you seen it?
No.
People do it I've seen it on TikTok, but people go on YouTube and they do these past life regression meditation things with the audio, and it's supposed to like see if you lived a past life, I guess. I don't know. I'm a big believer in reincarnation, like 100% believe in reincarnation. And so I'm like, I wonder what I was in a past life. What I did.
There was one so like some TikToks will pop up and say it'll be like kids, like the kids talk about who they were before they became a kid.
Ghost
and
inside
like
my child.
One of the guys was saying how like it's very common for that to occur where like kids remember, but it's also really common for like you to be reincarnated in the same family. So like you're still like associated with your family in some way. It's not just like some random person sometimes, or it's like something that is significant in your life type of thing too. And I was like, that's weird, but fascinating. I love it. I'm here for it.
Me too.
I would love to know.
I love that too. My favorite one that I heard, because I've heard a lot of them, and I remember one that was like a World War II pilot.
Yeah.
A little boy that claimed. But I did read one or heard about it somewhere of a little boy who claimed he was a woman in another life and his name was Pam, and that she had died in a fire and she jumped off a building, and he would like give all these details for years, and that they finally decided to like look it up, and sure enough there was a woman in like Chicago and like a fire in a building that took place, and that she died. And I was like, that is insane. That's crazy. There is a Netflix special. I don't know if it's still on there, but there's stuff like that. It talks about like life after death. Yeah. And they cover the story of that child who said he was a World War II pilot. Super interesting. Super interesting. That's crazy. I think I told my friend yesterday, because she has an issue going on, and I was like trying to help her out with it, just kind of giving her options. And I was like, I was a lawyer in another life. I must have been. I must have been another lawyer. I was like, because I just gave you all these points. And she's like, those are all valid points. And I was like, I rest my case. I rest my case. But anyways, yeah, I would love to do that. If any of our listeners have done it, I want to know your experience if you've done the past life regression. Or if you can perform one, let me know. I volunteer as tribute.
If we can do it on, will it work over a FaceTime call or video call? Because I want it.
It's just your voice.
It done.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Because it's just your voice, so.
That's so
I would probably fall asleep.
Well, I mean, it's like meditation, so you're kind of like in and out, is what I'm thinking. You're kind of like, it's like you're here, but you're not, like an out-of-body experience.
Okay.
It's what I think what it kind of sounds like it would be. I'm going to try. I'm going to look it up now.
It.
I got to YouTube it, and I will find it.
Okay.
And I will do it.
You got to try it.
And I will tell you.
I've been trying to do it for like 2 weeks, but I'm like, oh, I got to do laundry. I don't really have time to lay down on the bed. And then, the kids are here, and I can't do when the kids are here.
Yeah.
So here I am living this life, not knowing what I was doing in another life. What if my past life was fabulous and I was like part of royalty or something?
You never know.
You never know. Exactly. Yeah. I want to hear what you have for us, Jen.
All right. I have something just very short today because I didn't really know what to talk about. I had no idea. My brain was like, I don't know what else we need to let all these wonderful dependas know what's going on with the military. And then I was looking at something and, ADH brain spiraled into a million different tabs, which I stumbled upon this topic today, which is
okie dokie.
A proxy marriage.
Ooh, I've always wondered.
And we're back. Okay, so again, I found information, but it's not like a whole lot. I mean, I don't think it has to be a whole lot to cover what a proxy marriage is. So it's something that the military couples do a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but it is an option for military couples to do. And I will tell you why. It's
been a lot more common now, too, right?
That's what it seems like. I hear it a lot more often. And actually, a spouse that I met that's in her husband's in Dave's squadron, they were married by proxy. So, what is a proxy marriage? It is where one of the marrying parties cannot physically make it to the ceremony, and therefore, someone, aka the proxy, stands in their place. Now, there's also another option, and it's called a double proxy marriage. And a double proxy, as you can guess it, neither party can get to this small little ceremony. So 2 people are now standing in for the 2 absentees.
That's so weird. Okay, I'll let you finish before I give you thoughts.
Yeah. Yes. You need a power of attorney to do the proxy by marriage. Marriage by proxy, whatever you want to call it. Same thing. Also, the state that you're in, whatever the requirements are to get legally married. So, speaking of state requirements, you can only do a proxy by marriage legally in California, Montana, Colorado, and Texas. And from my understanding, by researching this, is Montana's the only state for military members to legally be married by proxy, and for it to be legal in all of the states and all the countries.
Oh, so they can do it there and then it's valid everywhere.
Yes. That's what it sounds like to me. That's my understanding from what I was reading from different places.
You know why? Because Montana is so cold you'd never want to leave your house. You're like, I'll just marry you from the warmth of my own living room.
Yes. Yes. So, with that, you don't have to... I mean, obviously, if it's a proxy by marriage, one of you will be in Montana doing the ceremony with a proxy. Or if you do a double, you can still... Yes. Just don't go in the winter.
No.
Or if you're doing a double... Neither of you can make it, but you can still hire a company in Montana to legally complete your marriage by proxy.
Why is it so funny to me?
I know, because it's so funny because I just think of it as like 2 random people standing side by side saying the I do's for you. Yeah. Or even if it's just you there, then this other person standing there saying I do.
Be like, I don't, but he does, so I'm just...
I not me as a person, but who I represent, yes, they do.
He does.
Yes.
Okay. Very awkward staring into each other's eyes. Do they have to hold hands?
Yeah, do you have to hold each other's hand? Do you look at each other? How does that
happen?
I should ask my friend more on how it went with her before it is. Okay, yeah. I'll update you guys on her experience with it.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's quite a few companies that will help you out and get all of this situated and do the proxy for you. There's all kinds of reasons why marriage by proxy would be an option. You know, for military members, obviously, if your member's deployed or they're stationed overseas and you guys are wanting to get married.
Yeah.
There's also non-military related options is if your significant other is incarcerated. I don't know why that makes me laugh. I don't know. Sorry. But yeah, that's also an option to do proxy by marriage, if that's the case. An average cost of a proxy marriage is around $750, which covers all your legal fees, the marriage license, court fees, proxy fees, because those people gotta get paid for standing there, administrative fees, and postage so you can get your marriage license sent to you.
I wonder how much a person makes being the proxy.
I know. I want to.
Maybe I'm in the wrong career field. I'll sign up too.
I'll do that. Yeah,
I'll wear a wedding dress like a crazy person at the altar.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're doing a double proxy, you have to pay for an extra person, so it might be a little bit
better.
more.
I'll get my husband to do it with me. We'll just get married over and over and over again.
So they also offer obviously video calling, so you can be live during the ceremony.
Live with the proxies?
Yeah.
So now there's 4 of us?
So there's 4 of you total, yeah.
It's a
you can
party.
Actually, participate, but not participate, yeah. Oh, and then also, after finding all of this information, Kansas is actually also legal for couples of all sorts of circumstances, including the incarceration time, to have a legal proxy marriage as well. Kansas. So Kansas is on the list as well. But Montana seemed to be the number one that was legal valid for everywhere you were.
Okay.
And then very last thing, when I found this on Wikipedia about proxy marriage. So fun fact, not military related, but there was a unique space wedding that took place on August 10th, 2003 when Ekaterina Dimitri... She's a U.S. citizen living in the state of Texas. It's a very hard name to say, but I will put it in the description later, guys. So she was living in the state of Texas where the proxy marriage ceremony was performed, and she married Yuri Malinchekno, a cosmonaut who was orbiting the Earth in the International Space Station.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
That's hot. I'm not going to lie. I would marry an astronaut. Sight unseen.
I know. That was really cool. I was like, oh, how did you line up your times? I don't even know, what's the time zone for orbiting Earth?
Yeah. What time zone are you in?
Yeah.
Eastern, Mountain Time.
You sure it's not your sleepy time?
Yeah. Also, does it count even if there's no gravity? How do you hold the pen to sign paperwork? You're not even on Earth at all in any sort of country. Are you sure this is going to be legal? Yeah. Is it like international waters where it doesn't count?
Oh, maybe, yeah. International
space?
Space, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's an option for a lot of military couples where, you all have different circumstances. Your significant other gets stationed overseas. You've been together. Mm-hmm. You're going to get married. And then they get overseas and you're like, well, I need to finish this stuff first and then maybe we can get married, or I don't know, any type of thing. So it's an option. And then you can always do your big ceremony and stuff later, either when you get back together in the States, or you can go plan it another time, or just have a party afterwards. I don't know.
Or don't. It's fine. It's fine. You had a wedding after your wedding, right? After your JOP?
Yes, after my living room ceremony.
How long after the living room ceremony did you have your party?
It was 2 years.
Was it a wedding or just the ceremony, like the reception?
It was the whole thing. Yeah, we did the whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I wanted to, and my family was around too, and his family was able to fly in, so I kind of wanted to do the whole get up since, it was me and him sitting in his roommate's living room with
so romantic
other roommates that had to come in and sign the marriage license.
So romantic.
Super romantic and very memorable. Yeah.
It is memorable.
I'll never forget it, that's for sure. I'll never forget that.
Did you have a Catholic? Did you get married at a church?
No, I just did a whole one and done place. It was really pretty out in the desert with mountains around and everything too. So they do the whole thing. They have an officiant that comes in and they have a ceremony. You can do it outside and then the reception inside. So
yeah. That's what I had done too, because we did the JOP in Texas, and I had my brother-in-law was our witness.
Yeah.
And Kyle chewed gum through part of it. Through the ceremony.
Classy.
So we did the JOP, yeah. And then, like 2-3 months later, we had a ceremony, non-denominational, because I was really pissed off at the Catholic Church by that time. That's for a different episode. But anyways, my children are screaming, and then we had the outdoor ceremony, and then we walked into the hall and had our reception there. So it wasn't as fancy as yours, because ours was kind of rushed and on a budget. And looking back now, I'm like, it would have been fine. Like, it's fine. I don't care.
I mean, as long as you had fun.
I think because we had tons of fun. And I was like, I think because now I get to see myself in pictures with my wedding dress, and I'm like, I could have done without it, but I know if I didn't do it, I'd probably been like, I wish I would have had that.
Right.
But I'm glad I did. But, we could have used that money for something else.
I mean, exactly. I mean, that's how I think of it too. I'm like, I'm glad we did it and it was fun. I'm actually, it's one of those things I'm really glad that we did it, because I have pictures of my mom's parents. They made it. My grandpa actually had been in the hospital just a few days before we did the wedding. So the fact that he got out and came and still felt okay to come and all that was just very wonderful. And I have pictures with him and then my grandma too. And then my dad's mom as well. She's there too. I wish Dave's grandparents could have made it, but it wasn't feasible. Yeah. But I'm grateful for that.
That's what I have too, is like Kyle's grandmother was there, who has since passed, and my dad as well, who has since passed. And so I have those special memories.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess, it was nice. But,
yeah. It's nice.
Well, thanks, Jen. That's the proxy marriage. That's interesting. It made me giggle. I'm not laughing at people that do it. It's just, it made me giggle because I have not seen it happen. I don't know what it's like to be part of a proxy marriage. And I just picture, like you said, like a fucking avatar stepping in. And it's like, what do I do? Do I hold your hand? Like, are you in place or are you just acting? I don't know. It's weird.
Right. Right.
And then I picture myself being a proxy in a wedding dress.
I'll ask my friend and see what they did. See how it went for them. Like I said, I can't remember if she said double or if it was just the one proxy. So I will let you know.
Please, or anybody else out there that's listening, let us know what a proxy marriage is like.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Jen. Great story. Great stories all around today.
Yeah. You just had a lot of so many questions, so many theories.
I know, right?
I do like that because it makes my brain start to turn and think of things, and I do like doing that.
I like it too, except at nighttime when my eyes pop open, I'm like, what if it was this?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to include this. Oh, I need to go back and research this. And so it's a lot of that.
Dedication.
We try. Yeah. Anything else going on with you?
No, nothing over here.
Same. I'm so hungry. I hope Kyle gets home soon so I can have some food. He said he was going to bring me back food, Jen.
Well, you make sure that he knows which one you wanted.
Yeah. I told him what I wanted, and I said what level of spicy I wanted. And he told me he was going to get it twice as spicy. I was like, I don't think so.
It burns my lips.
I like spicy. I can handle spicy. But when I tried that food the other day, I was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I was like, give me a 7. Okay, great. It burned my mouth. And I was like, I don't think I could take anything more than this. I probably will have to go down to a 5. And I was like, bring me a 5. He's like, a 10 it is. I was like, please don't bring me back a 10. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he brings back. I'll let you know tomorrow when I'm dead. Spiciness. Well, that's all I have for today. Nothing much going on over here. My children are screaming, and I'm gonna go in there and scream with them.
Well, that sounds fun.
If you can't beat them, you join them, right?
Yep.
So I might go do that.
Nice. Well, cool. Well, thank you for your story, Veronica.
Thank you for your fun facts.
Of course. That's what I'm here for.
Yes, you are. And we're here for our listeners. Once again, if you guys want to reach us to share any stories, military-related stories, topics, tricks, suggestions. Did I say tricks? I did. You can email us at DEPENDAsplaining@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to rate and subscribe on your favorite listening platforms.
Yes. Please do all that. Share with your friends. Everyone. Shout it out to the world. DEPENDAsplaining is here.
Yay.
Because you know you want to. Because you love us. You love us.
Yes.
And we love you. And we hope you
you
have a fabulous week. Can you believe it's August? I still can't get over that it's already August. So basically Halloween is tomorrow.
Basically.
Happy New Year, everyone.
I'm surprised I haven't seen Halloween candy.
I know.
Maybe I have. Maybe I have. I just didn't pay attention.
Yeah, it's
Because
coming.
Every time I go...
It's almost here.
Yeah. Every time I go into the commissary, I just have tunnel vision just to get what I need and get out. Because I have anxiety going in there. I don't know what it is, but my anxiety is like through the roof. I start sweating more than usual, and I don't like it. Commissary, you guys. Produce.
It's just grocery shopping. It's not fun.
I know, I hate it. It's so much pressure to put on one person to be in charge of the grocery shopping. Find the deals during the grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Pack everything up, take it home, put it away, unload all the stuff that's in the refrigerator that's bad or that's going to be bad, and then cook all the dinner. All right, Jen. Before my house gets any louder than it is right now, send us off.
All right. Thank you for listening, everyone. We appreciate you guys so much. This love and support. Keep it coming. We are so grateful. Reach out. Reach out to us. And don't forget that wherever you go, there you are. Goodbye.
Followed by noisy kids.
And airplanes.